was a sailor and a reckless sort, and I sailed my ship into countless ports, looking for a good time, chasing after thrill, loving wine and women and my foolish will, till I wound up shipwrecked, undone, blinded and beaten by the deeds I'd done. I cried out, Lord, have mercy on me, can you help this blind man see? And then my eyes were opened and I saw my chains, and I heard a sweet voice calling my name. The chains were loosed as I fell to my knees, for God had rescued me. And now I raise my song to the Holy One, to the Father of love and His only Son, to the Spirit of life, the three-in-one, the God who rescued me. And for all my days and in all my ways, may I live my life giving all of the praise to the one and only everlasting love, the God who rescued me. I became a preacher and I knew my stuff, and I thought my preaching made me good enough, till I met a sinner and he was saved by grace. While I was patting my back, he was on his face. How quickly I had fallen away from unconditional love and grace, and traded a son's for an orphan's place in my self-righteous ways. I saw my rags when I saw His cross, and by His grace I counted His cost, and all my gains I counted but lost, for God had rescued me. And now I raise my song to the Holy One, to the Father of love and His only Son, to the Spirit of life, the three-in-one, the God who rescued me. And for all my days and in all my ways, may I live my life giving all of the praise to the one and only everlasting love, the God who rescued me. To the one and only everlasting love, the God who rescued me.
Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose and fled unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it, to go within unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. And then every mariner cried unto their God, and was afraid, and cast wares that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten the load thereof. But Jonah was gone down into the ship, and laid and was fast asleep. So then the shipmaster came to him, and said unto them, What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise and cry upon thy God, if so be that God will think upon us, and we will perish not. The path of disobedience to God can only lead downward. It is evidence that Jonah was the only one aboard that was a true believer, and as such had a responsibility to be the light of God, for God. But Jonah isn't the light shining. He is sleeping, while the storm is raging, and all around the heathen mariners cry out unto their false gods, and the only one that could have made a difference was sound asleep. When the captain of the vessel locates the sleeping prophet and asks him the first of a series of questions, the first question that Jonah was asked was his preoccupation. Jonah was so caught up in his rebellion against God and in going his own way that he was totally oblivious to the conditions of those around him. We sleep while the world around us fights for their very life. The captain came and rebuked the prophet for his prayerlessness. Ezekiel 3:18 says, When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and those giving them no warning, nor speak to warn them the wicked from their wicked ways, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquities, but his blood will be on your hands. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou give him no warning, the same wicked man shall perish, but his blood I will require at your hand. Who else will they turn to in their times of trouble? Next question that they asked Jonah about was his profession. It must have been embarrassing for Jonah to declare that he was a man of God, for it's difficult to stand when you've blown your testimony. Next, Jonah is asked about his pedigree. It's a threefold question. And he's asked about his origins. The first, where comest thou? How can a running man of God who's disobedient say that he's God's man and from God's country? He can't. Our disobedience and our sin clouds our testimony and causes our lips to be silenced. Next, Jonah is asked, what is thy country? Jonah was from the promised land, but he didn't live like he was a true worshipper of the living God. In 2 Corinthians 5 chapter 12, it says that we are to be ambassadors for Christ. How can we be ambassadors for Christ when we've blown our testimony by wrong living? However, sin and our slackness make it difficult for the world to believe us. Then Jonah was asked, what people are they? Jonah was one of the chosen people. The church is to redeem people of God. In truth, the world would prefer that we would leave them alone. But there will come a day when they will point an accusing finger and say, why did we perish and you did not warn us? Why shall we sink with the ship while you were standing there with a rescue line and yet did not help? The strongest question that Jonah had to face that day was, what do we do with thee? The answer that they received is the only one that makes sense. Cast away the disobedient saint. The modern world's reaction to the church is very similar. They would rather ignore us and cast us away. We're often accused that the church doesn't fit in. This is not how it was during the life of Christ. They might not have liked him, but there was no way that they were able to ignore him. The reason, everywhere Jesus went, he touched those around him. His life, because of his holiness, was a challenge to all that were sinners. And he was a light to the seeker, food to the hungry, forgiveness to the guilty. He was life to the dead, and Jesus did make a difference. That was Jonah's responsibility to those in Nineveh and to those on the ship. It is our responsibility to the world today that we shall be a light and make a difference to those around about us. The truth is, these questions challenge every believer, not just Jonah. The conclusion is that we need to wake up. We need to respond to the call of God and do that which He has asked us to do. To be the light, to be the rescue team, to be the lifeboat in the midst of a raging storm, and to be a lighthouse that will point to Jesus Christ in trouble and raging sea.